Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this press point between the President of the European Commission and the Prime Minister of Georgia, Mr. Iraklii Garibashvili. Both gentlemen just had a working meeting. They will now make a statement and then answer your questions. Please, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to welcome Prime Minister Garibashvili on his first official visit to Brussels in that capacity. As you know, last November, at the Eastern Partnership Summit in Vilnius, we initialed an association agreement, including a deep and comprehensive free trade area with Georgia. This step fully reflects Georgia's determination to European values and European integration, for which I commend Prime Minister and previous governments. We need now to have this agreement signed to seal this historical development for our bilateral relations. We are committed to do it still during the term of this Commission. After having launched this process in Prague 5 years ago, I am very glad to see the process in the relationship with Georgia, and also that this process is coming to fruition through these important agreements. At the same time, it is crucial to sustain Georgia's important achievements towards good governance, strong political institutions, and effective policies to promote economic growth. I particularly welcome Georgia's 2020 strategy for economic development and relevant reforms for our visa liberalization dialogue. In the context of the major changes that have taken place recently in Georgia politics, a new president, a new prime minister, and a new constitution, I have urged Prime Minister Garibashvili to continue to pay careful attention to defending political pluralism and media freedom, the hallmarks of a healthy and pluralist democracy. I particularly emphasized the importance of ensuring that criminal prosecutions are evidence-based, transparent, free of political motivation, impartial, and fully in line with democratic values. Today, we also reviewed achievements in human rights and fundamental freedoms. Human rights, in particular the rights of minorities, are vital and have to be taken as a priority. We also talked about the most recent developments in conflict resolution in Georgia. I very much welcome the continuing diplomatic contacts between Georgia and the Russian Federation as an important way to ensure stability and security for the region. I expressed my concerns at the ongoing erection of fences and barriers on Georgia's internal administrative boundaries, which have a direct negative impact on the local populations. We remain committed to the country's territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. As I said to the Prime Minister, we are keen to support conflict resolution in Georgia, including through our co-chairmanship of the Geneva International Talks and our monitoring mission in Georgia. Prime Minister Garibashvili, your government enjoys solid democratic legitimacy after 2 impressive election victories. It has continued Georgia's reform path and European integration process with determination. I am thus confident in the future of our relations and in Georgia's European path. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Mr. President, thank you. We had a very interesting and important meeting with President Barroso, and as we had the opportunity to discuss main directions of the EU-Georgia cooperation agenda, we highly appreciate the EU's firm support for Georgia's European integration course, which is an irreversible process. It is the cornerstone of my country's foreign as well as domestic policy, upheld by the Georgian people and major political parties. We have demonstrated significant results at the Vilnius summit, which opened a new chapter in our relations with the European Union. The major priority for Georgia is to sign the association agreement as soon as possible. We expect to sign it no later than August 2014, as stated by European Council President in December 2013. On our part, we are in line with all necessary requirements in this direction. Implementation of the association agreement is a challenging process, which envisages comprehensive reforms and legal approximation in all sectors. The Georgian government stands ready to deliver on its commitments and translate them into concrete actions and policies for the benefit of our citizens. In this process, the EU's solidarity and strong political support, as well as technical and financial assistance, will be of critical importance. based on the basic principles such as differentiation and more for more. On visa dialogue, we welcome Commission's very positive assessment on Georgia's progress in the implementation of the Visa Liberalization Action Plan. The enhanced mobility between the European Union and Georgia is essential for strengthening ties between the societies and expansion of business contacts. Deepening of cooperation under CSDP is an important priority for Georgia. We are determined to make the best use of the framework agreement on Georgia's participation in the EU crisis management operations signed in Vilnius, which serves as a clear demonstration of our commitment to contribute, together with the European Union, to building peace and security worldwide. During the meeting, we had an opportunity to discuss domestic reform process in our country, in Georgia. The government is strongly committed to continue the unwavering path of reforms, which are directed primarily to consolidation of democracy, the rule of law, judicial independence, as well as to ensuring protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, economic growth, social welfare, and etc. And lastly, against the background of continuous pressure from Russia, we pay particular importance to the EU's vital role in promoting peace and stability in Georgia, especially its firm support for Georgia's territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. We highly value EU's engagement in this process, primarily through effective non-recognition policy, maintaining the EU monitoring mission, functioning of the EU special representative, contributing to the confidence building between the war-divided communities, and active participation in the Geneva international discussions. Mr. President, thank you very much again.
Thank you. We're now going to your questions. I will start with the lady, the lady with the blonde hair. I'm sorry, here in front of me. I'm sorry.
Can I in Georgian or in English?
As you wish. As you wish.
Georgian public broadcaster, I have a question to you, Mr. President. Have you discussed with the Georgian Prime Minister relationship with Russia, and how do you evaluate the approach which Georgian government has in the relationship with Russia?
Let me add, Mr. President, and let me continue the same question. Previously, you said that at press conference with Vladimir Putin that Europe is against the perception of bloc is against bloc, that one region's gaining, another's pain. However, Mr. Putin said that he's against of establishing new lines, dividing lines between EU and customs union. How do you think, how could protect Georgia from Russian influence, considering Ukraine's example? Thank you.
We have, of course, discussed this issue. Our position on the territorial integrity of Georgia is well known, and so I did not repeat it. At the same time, we reaffirm our commitment to a peaceful solution for that problem. That's why we are co-chairs of the Geneva process, and we have, through different initiatives that the Prime Minister referred, for instance, the presence of a EU monitoring mission and others, we are showing our commitment to Georgia. But at the same time, we make an appeal to all the parties to make an effort to come to a solution on the basis, of course, of respect of the territorial integrity of Georgia. Regarding the agreement, the association agreement and DCFTA between Georgia and the European Union, you just heard the Prime Minister. It's a major priority for Georgia. This is Georgia's decision, and we believe that all the sovereign choices of the sovereign countries should be respected. And we state this very clearly. It is the intention of the Georgian authorities that today was clearly here restated to finalize through the signature and afterwards the implementation this historic agreement with the European Union. And so, of course, what we can say to everybody in the region is that this should be respected, and we expect all the partners to respect precisely the free will of a country like Georgia. And this is the line we are going to follow, and that's why now we are making our preparations for this signature that, as you know, the European Council decided to give utmost priority and hopefully to sign it not later than August. And I hope this will be the case. But at this moment, I don't think it's, let's say, useful to add any other speculation. What I believe it's important is that the will of a free country, an independent country like Georgia, is respected. And of course, the European Union member states already decided and made it clear also in Vilnius when we met also collectively with our Eastern partners.
Now, excuse me. You asked for a question. I gave you a question. If you don't mind, the second question goes to your colleague there, who has also asked for a question. Please.
I have to receive an answer, and
Yes.
that's why, please. How do you evaluate the approach of new government in the relationship with Russia? I am asking this.
Evaluate the approaches of the...
With Russia.
We believe it's important to have dialogue. I'm not here to give marks in terms of the relationship of Georgia with other parties. I don't think this is my role. What I said, and I think I can repeat, is that we very much, first of all, respect the territorial integrity of Georgia. We have expressed just today, I mentioned in my introductory remarks, our concerns about this so-called borderization, this erecting of fences and some actions that we believe are detrimental to the local populations as well. At the same time, we have been advising our Georgian partners and friends to engage also in a dialogue with Russia. That has been our position, not only with this government, also with the previous government. And so we believe that it is a problem, that is certainly a problem. That's why we are launching an international process like Geneva Talks. But we believe that dialogue should pursue. Now, I cannot afterwards enter now in an analysis or about exactly which way the Georgian state, the Georgian Republic, and the Georgian friends should go. That's up to Georgia to decide, precisely because we very much respect Georgia's sovereignty. We hope that others will respect that sovereignty too.
Let's give it another try. Richard from New Europe, please.
So Richard Joswiak, Radio for Europe, for the Prime Minister actually. In what way do you evaluate the Georgian Orthodox Church? Is it an obstacle or a supporter for future Georgian EU integration? And quickly for Mr. Barroso, Mrs. Ashton talked about some sort of new economic aid for Ukraine when she was in Munich this weekend. Can you elaborate a bit? Is it some new EU package on the table? Is it some more money? Or what is it that she was hinting towards?
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the Georgian Orthodox Church is a very solid and very important institution in our country, and therefore I wouldn't say that it is an obstacle in the country's European integration process. On the contrary, I think this will also help to consolidate the country and the people. Also, for your information, according to the public opinion surveys, the majority of the population supports the country's European integration process. Thank you.
Regarding Ukraine, first of all, the first priority in Ukraine now is the end of violence, also the end of intimidation, and to try to have a political solution to the crisis. That's why I've been saying, and I made the point clearly to President Yanukovych recently, that a genuine dialogue needs to take place so that a common platform can be reached between government and opposition that can bring stability to the country and that can bring the country to the next democratic elections. The economic short-term difficulties Ukraine is facing also need to be taken in consideration. The European Commission had already prepared a 610 million euros package of macro-financial assistance for the eventuality of an agreement with the IMF. So based on that agreement, that was a condition. We keep in continuous contact with all our partners on how best addressing the situation in Ukraine, both in the short and long term. And let me remind you that the European Union has proven its commitment to Ukraine in concrete deeds. We are the biggest international donor to Ukraine. Since Ukraine's independence, the European Union has provided 3.3 billion euro, I repeat, 3.3 billion euro in grants and further 10.5 billion in loans. And this just through the European Commission budget. because we should add to this the bilateral assistance from individual member states. Currently, our financial assistance is channeled through the instruments of the European neighbourhood policy. On the average, it's 150 million euros annually, and we are ready to increase our help to Ukraine with the implementation of the association agreement, the CFTA. Having said this, it's important to clarify one point. We don't agree with the idea that for a country to join this agreement, we should pay something, because it's completely wrong, that conception. In fact, our big offer to Ukraine is the agreement itself. We are offering Ukraine access to the biggest market in the world, that is the European Union internal market. That is the offer, and by the way, a very generous offer, because it's not symmetrical. We are offering them almost unlimited access from day one, while they will open their borders on a progressive phase, taking 15 years. So the idea that to sign an agreement, we should pay something, let's say, it's simply wrong. And that's why the European Union and member states very clearly in Vilnius stated that we are not going to a bidding competition to say who pays more for a signature of Ukraine. I don't think this is proper in terms of relations between the European Union and other countries. Now, what we can do, and in fact we are discussing with our partners, is for a country that is in difficulty, but not because of agreement with us, a country that is facing very huge challenges, if we can do something more in this particular phase. That we are discussing with other partners, certainly always with the perspective of helping Ukraine in its European path, because we believe that is the path that most Ukrainians clearly prefer. They want to come closer to the European Union, and certainly we are ready to support that.
Thank you very much. This press point is now closed.